Hello Synthetics, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alam. So one of the fragrances that really put the house of Lattafa on the map was none other than Lattafa Asad. That's right, it's actually pronounced Lattafa Asad. It means lion in Arabic. Anyway, hate it or love it, there's no denying the impact that this has had on the Middle Eastern fragrance industry. And with all that success came flankers. So I'll do a quick review of the latest release in the line, which is Lattafa Asad Elixir. And then I'll do a ranking of the entire line from my least favorite to my most favorite. With all that out of the way, let's jump in. So let's start off with my thoughts on the newest release, Asad Elixir. Now, word on the street as this is inspired by Hugo Boss Bottled Absolu. Now, I understand why folks are saying that because there are some similarities here. But to me, this is much more of a twist on the DNA rather than their attempt to make a one-to-one. Now, the opening is bright, sharp, and spicy with this combination of pink pepper, saffron, and grapefruit. And actually, that opening is where you get the biggest departure from the original Boss Bottled Absolu. The original is much darker and smokier in the opening. There's this distinct smoky incense and leather you get in the OG that I don't pick up as much in this one. But if I was judging the closeness only by the opening, I would actually say they're not very close at all. However, as it dries down, it does get much closer to the original. The darker notes start to kick in. You get smoky tobacco and cedar. You also get this really nice creamy sweetness with vanilla. That closeness continues in the base. That's where you get this rich resin with frankincense, also known as olibanum or luban. And they both also share this distinct patchouli note, though I think it is a little bit more prominent in the original compared to the Asad Elixir. And the OG is also a monster performer. I'm talking about 10 plus hours of longevity, strong projection for a couple of hours. This one is still a very good performer, but it doesn't quite match the OG. 8 hours of longevity right out of the box, strong projection for that first hour or so. But I do think that the projection is not quite as strong as Boss Bottled Absolu. Wonderful fall and winter fragrance that can be used for formal events, for special occasions. It is a very masculine fragrance, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you came looking for something that was almost a one-to-one take on Boss Bottled Absolu, you might leave a little bit disappointed. Look, I love the original Boss Bottled Absolu. I love that it's in my collection, but I do understand it's not for everyone. The dark notes, especially up top, tend to turn some people off because they do come off very, very strong. Because I already own the OG, I actually like that they made this a twist. They took that dark opening, made it fresher and more mass appealing, and it does give you a little bit of different experience. But at the same time, they kept that dry down, which is the part of Boss Bottled Absolu that I think is more universally loved. This is an awesome release from Lattafa, especially for the colder months that we're in right now. Sophisticated, mature, but still super easy to wear. Okay, so now to answer the question how I would rank them, and I gotta say this was really, really easy for me. In last place, I have Lattafa Asad Zanzibar. And now I don't outright hate this fragrance as much as many people online do. Do I think it's great? No. I just don't think it deserves the vitriol that it gets online. I think the biggest mistake Lattafa made with this one was releasing this as the first flanker to the original Asad. Because this scent profile is a total 180 from the original Asad, and it may have thrown a lot of people off that were looking for something closer to that one. This is a sweet, tropical, and aquatic scent, but it does have some peppery and smoky undertones. Comes off very aromatic, salty, and fresh. And not that they're exactly the same, but it does remind me of something like Mancera's French Riviera or something from like JPG's Le Beau line. Now, not exactly the same thing, but maybe something that could have been released as a flanker for those fragrances. So why is this in last place? Well, to me, they added this lipsticky iris note that does not work with the rest of the fragrance. And this thing also tends to give me a headache when I use it. I think it's that combination of sweetness, coconut, iris. It just doesn't work for me. And anyone who's seen my past videos will know I'm not the hugest fan of like very coconut dominant fragrances. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not great either. At my number 3 spot, I have the OG Lattafa Asad. And this was the first really, really good clone of Dior Sauvage Elixir, and it came out at a time when the Middle Eastern brands were really starting to take off. It captures the same rich, spicy, and amber-heavy style of the OG, but it does add this sweeter, almost fizzy like vanilla cola accord that does make it a little bit different from the original. This thing is intense, It's warm and it comes off elegant and sophisticated. There's no doubt about that. Performance is also beast mode with this one. Now I've had mine for many years now, so maybe it's matured like crazy, but it does last forever and it projects strongly as well. Now this is a big step up from Zanzibar, but it's still not something I reach for regularly. This does a great job of cloning Sauvage Elixir, but I'm just not the biggest fan of Sauvage Elixir. I much prefer Sauvage EDT or EDP DNA, which gets all the hate online. It's just something I still like and I prefer. Now, I do get why people still like this thing, and I understand how important it was to the growth of the industry. It's just not my favorite, but still a very, very solid fragrance. Now for the two in the line that I really like. In the second spot, I have the newest release, which is Asad Elixir. And this is a solid take on that Boss Bottled Absolu DNA. It's a really close second to my number one. Who knows, the more I wear it, it might jump ahead of that one in time, but for the time being, it's at my number two. But we've talked about that one enough, so yeah, at my number two spot is the new Asad Elixir. So that leads to my obvious number one, which is Asad Bourbon. And this thing blends some of my favorite designer fragrances of all time. It gives you a little bit of Stronger With You Intensely, it gives you a little bit of Azar's Most Wanted, and then it also gives you a little bit of Valentino Born in Roma. But I do think it's mostly a combination of these two, and takes the warm spices and sweetness from the Most Wanted DNA. It blends it amazingly with the aromatics and vanilla of Stronger With You. And that combination makes something that just smells incredible. This is a perfect, warm, sweet, and comforting scent profile. And that bourbon vanilla in this is the true star of the show, and it smells amazing. And it's not all like super sickly sweetness either. You get this aromatic lavender that gives you some clean freshness. The spices give it some much needed depth. This is a truly wearable gourmand, and in my opinion, it's absolutely the best in the line. So there you have it, folks, my take on the newest release from Lattafa Asad Elixir and how it stacks up against the rest of the line. Let me know in the comments if you've tried the newest one and which of the line is your favorite. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep growing this channel together. Every subscription does count. And as always, stay tuned for more affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.